Rockets Warriors is not officially over because Draymond Green felt the need to go a little bit further on his podcast. He called out Dillon Brooks for not shaking hands with the Warriors at the end of Game 7.
Dillon Brooks ran off the court. So when I say you see what guys is made of, he ran off the court, like ain't shake nobody up, and you admitted that you was trying to hurt Steph hand, which again, fine by me, bro. Like I get it, we all get it when you hoop. You know what I'm saying? So if you're gonna be on that type of time,
he gotta be on that time
in the press
he gotta
conference,
be on that time all the time.
You're gonna be talking. You're going to be Mr. Big Bad Wolf. Don't lose and then not face the music. Don't be that guy because, again, you lose a lot of respect for guys in that moment. I had a moment with Dillon Brooks back when he was with Memphis, and I said the dynasty start after you. And the reason I said that is because things like that.
So Draymond Green, clearly a little biased when it comes to Dillon Brooks. And okay, as pointed out by our friend Vanessa Richardson, I know the man who hit Mike Conley's already broken face so hard he had to have metal implants, and who punched Jordan Poole, poked Harden's eye, took a shot to Dante Exum's throat, hit LeBron in the groin, et cetera, is not talking about sportsmanship? Question mark, exclamation point, question mark. Fair from Vanessa, but is anything that Draymond said there wrong? I think you got to shake the hand of the team that beat you. You have to. Even if you're talking all that noise, you have to. Apparently, Tari Eason also tried to sneak away from the end of Game 7 without a handshake, and Draymond Green felt the need to make sure that didn't happen because he respects Tari Eason.
Did Tari Eason do it? He lead the court. I got love for Tari Eason. His mom was talking. You know what I'm saying? My mom almost had to get out of it.
You got a lot of, man, you shouted him out earlier in the year, though.
Absolutely. Like, I got a lot of love for the way he played. Yeah. And I ended up catching him right before he was about to walk out the arena, and he was walking this way, so he didn't have to come by me, but I could, in my distance, I could see him right there. I said to him, I like waved him down, and I went and I dapped him up. And that was kind of a little save, but
seems like he lost a little respect for Tari Eason there. But because he does not want to lose respect for Tari Eason, he forced the issue. If I'm Tari, I'm pretty pissed about this. I'm also pissed that this was shared on a podcast. But it goes back to what I said earlier. If you lose, you got to shake hands. One of my favorite teams, and I was not alive for them, but I grew up watching highlights of them. I remember the Boston Celtics did this to the Detroit Pistons. And somehow the Celtics, perhaps because everyone loved the Celtics back then, the Celtics were able to get away with it. And then the Pistons tried to do it against the Chicago Bulls when Michael Jordan finally overtook them, and everyone crushed the Pistons for it. Definitely a little hypocrisy on that front because the Pistons were a-holes and people liked the Celtics, at least relatively. Not everybody, but relatively. Everyone hated the Pistons.
People were more forgiving nationally of the Celtics
right.
than they were of the bad boy Pistons.
Back then, the bad boy Pistons cool now, but in the moment,
people hated them.
Without the benefit of nostalgia, everyone hated every single one of the players on their team if they were not from Detroit, Michigan. You know?
Yeah, watch the 30 for 30 battle.
It's fantastic, 30 for 30. It'll make you actually like them, much like going back and watching the Duke documentaries. Like, oh yeah, Duke's was kind of cool back in the day. Much like going back and watching the U documentaries makes you like them. I hated Miami growing up. Then I watched the docs. I was like, oh damn, they were cool. But it only happens after the fact.
Yeah, or like watching the Robert Kraft Patriots documentary where you're just like, yeah, this is awesome.
Ha ha.
the only doc that isn't just a love fest.
Well, listen, it should be a love fest because that was the greatest dynasty in the history of sports. And they skipped over a 21-game winning streak and 2 back-to-back Super Bowls. Like, just 2 seconds. 2 Super Bowls later, they just move on. I'm sorry. Ridiculous. I get it. There's other stuff to get to. You could have had the 2 Super Bowls. Whatever. Bringing it back to Draymond Green, talking about Dillon Brooks and Tari Eason. He is right here. He's right. You got to shake hands. Sorry. Any kid growing up, You might hate somebody in the other series. Shake the person's hand and leave whatever vitriol you have for that person on the field, unless you're bringing it to the weight room and trying to use it to motivate you going forward. RTC commenting on YouTube. You don't have to do anything. He's nitpicking, acting like this game 7 of the conference finals, or it's a changing of the guard. It's the first round of the team's first playoffs. If the guys are in their feelings, let them be in their feelings. No, it's a learning lesson. I really think this applies to all levels of life and all levels of sports. You lose, it sucks, but you move on. And you shake hands with the people you played against. You know, like that moment with Shedeur Sanders and that guy from Colorado State. That kid from Colorado State talked a lot of trash to Shedeur Sanders leading up to it in the week. And then he came up to him afterwards and he offered his hand. This is one of the reasons that people think Sanders is a bit of an a-hole. Is it fair? I don't know. I really don't. But that is a moment that Shedeur Sanders was judged on, even though you could correctly judge the Colorado State player for talking so much trash to Sanders leading up to the game, you know? Which is also delusional. You Colorado State. Relax. Right? I get it. It's a rivalry game, but like, relax. I get it. Colorado's never been good historically, but relax. But to bring it back to Draymond and Dillon Brooks and Tari Eason, yeah, it was a bad look. Draymond wasn't done. He wasn't done. Here he is closing Dillon Brooks out with the verbal version of a hand-to-hand combat match that we all were hoping to see at some point in the series and never did.
But that's who Dillon Brooks is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we understand, like, you a sucker, man. You like, but Tari Eason, he not. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, his mind was talking. It's all love. I don't get off into that. I got a lot of love for young fella because the way he go about his business, the way he play the game. I got a lot of love for him. Don't be like that because you lose respect. When guys lose respect for you in this league, like, it don't matter, and it's going to catch you in the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, Dillon Brooks couldn't come through in this series in large part because nobody on the court respects you. So anything you do, the way it's going to be looked at, the way it's going to be received, it ain't beneficial to your team.
I do think when it comes to the respect side of things for Dillon Brooks, I don't think a lack of respect for Dillon Brooks is the reason that he was a bit inconsistent in this series. I don't think he was bad. I thought he had some moments where he was good, but there were some limitations for him offensively that a lot of his Rockets teammates share. And that was the problem. That's why they're done. A lack of respect that others have for Dillon Brooks is not the reason that the Rockets went home and that Brooks struggled. So Draymond's making it a little bit personal there at the end, but I do think he was right to call out Dillon Brooks for not giving him a handshake. And same for Tari Eason. And hey, at least he likes Tari Eason enough to pull him aside and say, hey, let's do the handshake. You'll regret it.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a little bit of Tari Eason. There's still time for you to, you don't have to go down this path of being Dillon Brooks. You know, you can, Draymond Green, can help you save yourself from being the next Dillon Brooks. At least that's how Draymond's describing it. And yeah, I think he's fair to call out Dillon Brooks for this because, like we said, when we're talking about James Harden, how after Game 7 didn't talk to the media, just left out the back door. That was something that Dillon Brooks did in the Lakers Grizzlies series 2 years ago now.
It was. Yeah.
And we crushed him for it on this show.
Great point.
And that's something that it seems like, just, you know, following the team, that Dillon Brooks has kind of like matured from that experience. But this is a little bit of a, you know, a lasting kind of part of it is he didn't shake hands with Draymond Green. And I'm not saying you have to like bring him in for a hug or anything. Just boom. You can even do the college basketball coaches that hate each other blow by, where it's just quick, boom, don't even break stride, keep going. Like, that's even better than going straight to the locker room.
Yeah, totally agree. You don't have to stick with him. You can do the awkward Bill Belichick versus his ex-coaches thing. You know, it's not that hard to do. You could do Jim Harbaugh and Pete Carroll that one time.
Why you like this?
What's your deal?
Oh, what's your deal?
What's your deal?
What's your deal, man?
I think it's worth it. Some comments. Eric the Driver says, you don't have to shake hands with someone who doesn't deserve any respect. Draymond is just a hypocritical P word. I mean, you don't have to, I guess, but I've always felt that being the bigger man,
that's what it
is something that's nice to walk away with.
Yeah. Yeah, just because he's a hypocritical P word doesn't mean you have to be a hypocritical P word.
Right, exactly. More comments here. I wouldn't let my 10-year-old walk off the field without showing respect for the other team. Agree that it's something that has to happen. Hell, hockey players punch each other and still meet up at center ice. Yeah, there's an honor element to it. Would it have been so hard for Dillon Brooks to do that? Now, he might have gotten refused. I don't think Jimmy Butler would have, received the handshake.
No, you don't think so?
I don't know. Seems like Jimmy Butler really has some issues with him. And a lot of the NBA has issues with him, much like a lot of the NBA has issues with Rudy Gobert. But I think if you lose, you got to offer a handshake. And Dillon, who talked a lot of trash in this series, he was the one that was calling Draymond the dirty player. I suppose he can walk away and say, like, I just don't respect the guy. But I think you have to. One more comment. A lot of these athletes in the big four sports act like they're such badasses they couldn't even handle being pro tennis players. When you lose in the championship match, you have to stay out there on the court and be interviewed and sit through the trophy ceremony. And that's not fun.
Yeah, you do.
Tennis players are rather enigmatic from time to time.
Yeah, I know. That's why they're all psychos. But yeah, don't they give you like literally a smaller trophy, or like the winner gets like the big trophy and you get like a little like plaque or something basically, and you have to sit out there for like 30 minutes. That is tough. They should do that in the NBA, or the NFL, where they're forcing you to do the Stephon Diggs stare at the confetti move from when he was on the Bills. Just like the other team that loses the Super Bowl, there's another stage being built for you guys to watch the guys.
Right.
Watch the Lombardi watch Emmitt Smith walk the Lombardi up.
Stephon Diggs is the one who really, really allowed that moment.
Yeah.
He's
the
linger.
Like iconic of the watching the other team celebrate guy.
Yeah, after a while, maybe don't do that. But shaking hands, don't be above that. Have a little honor. I don't think there's anything wrong with a little honor. I don't think there's anything wrong with a little manners. There is something wrong with me trying to speak the English language at this moment in time. By the way, Dillon Brooks aside, Draymond, so complimentary of the Houston Rockets after this series, and on his podcast, he went in great detail hyping up Alperen Sengun.
One of two things happen. You either completely lose respect for someone, or you gain a lot of respect for someone, because you see who really real and when these playoffs happen. You know what I'm saying? You see a lot of people fade. You get to see who really real. You also get to see how people act after the game, which we'll talk about. But Sengun real, man. He ain't back down at all. What I would say to him, if I was his OG, and he can take it right from here, flop a little less, embellish a little less, because with a defender like me, he doing that, my feet off that. You know what I'm saying? He real, he physical, he ain't backing down, he got a bat, you know what I'm saying? Like, he 23 years old. Like, right. I don't think people realize he's young.
Yeah, no, they got a young squad.
Absolutely. So he real, a lot of respect for him. The way
I liked hearing that too. I agree. Listen, everything he said here, maybe it's hypocritical to say, hey, Dillon Brooks, like, no one respects him. But
that's why you lost, is because no one respects you.
And that was personal. And also saying no one respects you. Okay, it could be hypocritical, but because just one thing is wrong over the course of that statement, that means everything he said is wrong. Texter, who gives a bleep what Draymond says. Another texter, Draymond is talking about players respecting you. What players outside of Golden State respect Green and his antics? Players tolerate him for some reason, but I'd bet the respect is low. LeBron likes him. I mean, there's a lot of guys across the NBA that do seem to like him, and he is one of those players who, when he's out on the court, is trying to get under people's skin. But there's clearly an element of respect amongst NBA players, and probably from the league itself, for Draymond.
Yeah, I mean, just like the simple fact, like you see how people treat Dillon Brooks, how other NBA players treat Dillon Brooks, how they treat Rudy Gobert. I think two guys that we can pretty safely say do not have the respect of their colleagues in the NBA. And you see how they treat Draymond Green. Draymond Green gets treated with so much more respect than those two guys.
Draymond Green deserves a little respect.
I mean,
he's won titles.
I was going to say, at the end of the day, 4 rings.
Like, one of the best defenders of all time. Another comment here. And I agree with this one. With Draymond, you can be mad, but you can't be mad. I'm a Rocket fan, but if you want to be mad, not shake somebody's hand, play harder, win the game. There you go.